We in this country, in this generation, are by destiny rather than choice, the watchmen on the walls of world freedom. We ask, therefore, that we may be worthy of our power and responsibility, that we may exercise our strength with wisdom and restraint, and that we may achieve in our time and for all time the ancient vision of peace on earth, goodwill towards men. That must always be our goal, and the righteousness of our cause must always underlie our strength. For as was written long ago, except the Lord keep the city, the watchman awaketh but in vain.
Well, welcome everybody. Gina Muley-Freistock and Doug White with Clearview, and we are here today with Sandi Polzin. An amazing story. She's actually from Eau Claire, Wisconsin. She does have a family garden business, which we would love to talk to her about and what she's doing within her community. But within that, she has also been somewhat of a patriot in starting a new school system. She's under a ministry at the moment, under God. So I believe that this whole, well, what do you want to say? This whole movement is divinely intervened, and we're honored to be here with her. She's actually down here for a convention in Florida. So thank you for coming, and you want to tell us a little bit about your family history, obviously the Garden Center, which is a family business. It's been generation to generation.
It has been. And thank you both for having me. I'm very honored and humbled. And of course, I'm part of our beautiful group of people who love truth and who love to serve and want to be intentional with the hands and feet that they were blessed with. And so from the time I was little, I knew that I felt like I was different. And so I became an entrepreneur very early on, right after I married my husband, John. And we started a beautiful faith-based early learning center because the learning centers around us for early childhood were very, very rough. And so I'm a quality individual where things bother me if they're not done right. And so we started off being little entrepreneurs way back then when our babies were little. I have two sons. And then as we grew older and they grew older, they realized that was not their calling. So we moved on to open up Down to Earth Garden Center in Eau Claire, Wisconsin, and we have 2 locations, and that has blossomed since 1997. And during the first major downturn, the economic downturn in 2008, my husband and I made a decision that we would not put all of our eggs in one basket, right? So I was just praying, Lord, if you want me to do something different, send me whatever. And it just, I believe, clearly spoke to me that I was to begin working at a ministry in our Chippewa Valley, Eau Claire area called Hope Gospel Mission. And it's a facility that helps people who are completely downtrodden and broken, who are struggling with depression, addiction, mental illness, and abuse. So back in 2010, I answered that call, and I am now the executive director of Hope Gospel Mission in Eau Claire, Wisconsin. And so we're actually down here this week at a conference learning more from other sister missions around the nation on how we can refine our systems and policies, but how we can just pray together, learn from one another, figure out what our next steps are. As you all know, mental health is like skyrocketing, 900 to 1,000%. And so we really want to be able to be part of the solution in that at Hope Gospel Mission. And so I have a team of 110 employees, and we lead this charge in Western Wisconsin. We're the only ones in Western Wisconsin doing this.
Awesome.
And so, but during that very taxing year and the earthquake of 2010 in Haiti, my husband and I had been matched already with a little girl in Haiti. So we serve ministry, we serve missions. So we've been missionaries since then. We took nurses and doctors and chiropractors and physical therapists and dentists to Haiti to serve in these sweet villages, and they were so grateful and so humbled and and it was just so needed. The conditions are beyond horrific.
Yeah.
And so, of course, when you're there and you see the need, you're never, ever, ever the same. You're just never the same. And so we, once again, answered that call. And since 2010, we have brought home 4 sweet, precious Haitians. And so I am starting over again. You know, I'm halfway there.
You're a mama again.
I'm a mama again, and a grandma now too. So we have 4 kiddos that we said yes to, because I always want to try to be part of the solution, not part of the problem, right?
That's why we're here too. We want solutions.
And I think that's our audience, right?
That's right.
We want to make sure that we're touching lives in ways that are super intentional. And so as all of these things began to become unraveled with what was happening in the public school systems, with what was happening with turmoil within our communities, right? What is truth? What is not truth?
Exactly.
What is real? What is not real? What can we do to try to make a difference? And my kids actually were in a faith-based school, but I had it really heavy on my heart for about 3 years. Like, something's got to shift. Something's got to change. So
were you paying attention more to their curriculum, what they were teaching? What was different? I went to Catholic school too, growing up.
I did too.
And I think the shift, with the social media, things like that.
And I think that the fear and our private school was acting a little bit more like a public school, that we kind of noticed that, and we didn't want that for our kids. And we saw what was allowed in the public school, and I was like, that's not what God has for my family.
Yeah.
And so I literally jumped out of bed one day, and I heard the Lord say, "Now." I'm like, "Now?" And He said, "Yep, now." So it was about 6 months into the pandemic when you heard about all the fear and all of the things, and people were devastated. And I just have never been afraid. I wanted to rise up and say, no
more.
No more. And so I started putting messages out on my social media, and I said, "Hey, Western Wisconsin. Hey, Chippewa Valley. Eau Claire, Wisconsin. Is anybody feeling like I'm feeling? Do we want to start a school? What can we do?" And I had hundreds of people reach out to me.
That is amazing.
What kind of obstacles did you run into doing that? Like, did the government try to stop you in any way, or
No.
community or anything?
No. And I wouldn't have listened anyway.
Yeah, right. Well, at this point,
Right?
you'd be crazy to listen to the government. But
Well, and I knew what God had told me to do, so you can't let man stand in the way of what God has for you. And so I listened to that. In all these meetings, people were saying, "This is happening to my child, that's happening to my child, we can't do this, we can't do that." And so I just said, okay. So we had so many people wanting to do this with us that we had meetings throughout that first 9 months of planning. And then we opened 2 years ago. We just finished our 2nd year.
Yeah.
So right during the pandemic, we opened up the school, and we just took a big leap of faith, and we have so many people now wanting to partner with us and on the waiting list.
So how did you organize all that? How did you organize everybody getting together? And
Social media, word of mouth, and emails.
yeah.
A friend telling a friend, emailing. They asked, I said, "Who wants to be on the group email?" So I'll send you information. I'm not just going to inundate everybody with it if you're not interested. So we
Right.
just took names. So at each meeting, we would have one every couple weeks. At each meeting, more names would be added to the email. And so it just took off, and it was beautiful. And it was hearing their stories and hearing their pain and hearing how their child was checked out, hearing how their child was so confused about who they were really created to be. And God put a beautiful school director on my heart, and I asked her to join us. And after much prayer and consideration, she decided to join us, and she saw all the stories. She had been working with really hard students in her big church that she was a children's pastor, and she knew all the stories. And so she, after much prayer, she said that she was going to join us as being the head of school. And so the Lord brought that beautiful person, and then our donors and office administrators, and I remember me standing up that moment and saying, "Lord, I don't have the bandwidth financially, time-wise. You're telling me to do it. I can spread the word, but I can't operate it. I don't have the funds." And He said, "I know, I got you."
Yeah, He's got
and He
you
did,
covered.
and He did.
Yeah.
And so there's been beautiful donors that have come through. We're working with grants and foundations. we're working with school tuition, with parent volunteers. So it's a K through 12 school. It's called Generations Academy. And we had about 90 kiddos our first year and about 90 kiddos this year. And we are in such great need that we are moving this summer to a bigger building, so we have the capacity to take up to a couple hundred kids.
That is amazing.
So we're really just trying to make a difference.
With the whole curriculum, can you tell us a little bit about how the curriculum is a little different from what you're seeing currently in the school system, and what you've implemented to kind of combat, you know, the CTR, the transgender issues?
Well, those are issues right now that we're currently struggling with on a day-to-day basis in the classroom, even though they might be in the public school. So if someone's struggling internally, or they know of a relative struggling, that's the beauty of my school administrator. That's her gift. So she mentors and counsels them one-on-one to remind them who they are. We've had sweethearts that have come who were confused about their gender when they came to our school, and just time with her, time with her fellow students, time with beautiful believers, time with people who love their country, who just want to make a difference. These sweethearts who were 13, 14, 17 years, they're thriving.
Wow.
They're thriving. They're not who they were 2 years ago at all.
Which is amazing.
And you can't even put a price on that. I mean, it just is amazing how when you actually journey with your students and you journey with the learners that come to you, they become beautiful, amazing participants in a classroom, which are going to make beautiful, amazing community members in the future. And when we went to describe our curriculum to our local bank to say, if we need financing, can you help us? And he said, we would be happy to partner with you. He said, you're not just a school here in our community. And they have a lot of Catholic schools in our community. They have a lot of faith-based schools. They have public schools. He said, this is the kind of curriculum that's going to actually change our community. You are raising up leaders in this community. And he had a little tear in his eye, and he came around the boardroom and he gave me a great big hug. And I had been with this particular banker since I was 26 when we started our child care center. And he said, I'm very proud to partner with you.
Wow, that's amazing.
So yeah, it's a beautiful story.
So explain your curriculum a little bit for people.
Well, our curriculum is based on a lot of hands-on learning. So we allow the children to explore what they're interested in.
Imagine that.
We had started out with an acting curriculum, and acting is a curriculum that also lets them do that, but we let them explore what they want to learn, and then we partner with them in bringing the right materials to them. So they have to do the standard, you know, the math and the spelling, all those things that you want them to learn. But if they're interested in a trade, we actually do apprenticeships in our school.
Oh, nice.
So from the time they're in
that's
7th, 8th
awesome.
grade up through high school. So my two oldest right now, I'll give you an example to help you understand the curriculum. One wants to learn about aircraft and mechanics. So think about all the pieces of math and science you get involved in that.
Right.
And one wants to learn about equestrian and care that way, right? So they are both in an entrepreneurship program for almost half of a year, and they each got to go for hours a week. So about 4 to 6 hours a week. We send them to their choice of apprenticeship, having interviewed the business owner, making sure it's okay with them. That gives them interview skills, and then the learners get to practice all the things that they love, and then they can decide, yes, I want to pursue
That's
this, or
amazing.
you know, I thought I kind of wanted to do that. Now next year my apprenticeship might be something else. It might be childcare. It might be, you know, it might be small engine repair. It might be something.
But it's tailored to each child to
It is.
actually
Beautiful.
explore, which is amazing.
Yes.
Because as we know, they grow, their mind grows different, you know.
Well, you know, I always thought when you were going to school, these people get out of school, really didn't learn anything about the real world.
Yeah.
Then they're picking a career without knowing
Right.
what careers they could possibly do.
Right.
Then they go to that school, learn that, and decide, this isn't what I want to do. Now they're in the whole
They're in the
thousands of dollars.
Right. That's very
And
common.
they're still working at McDonald's. I hate to say that name, but
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, and that's very common because they really can't identify where their gifts and talents are if they've never really had time to practice it
Right.
first.
Never been introduced to it.
Right. And so we try to do that quite often for 7th through 12th graders, and then they can come and pick and choose. But another really neat piece to the school, because you wanted to talk about curriculum, is we actually have them put on a little sweet business fair where they all are required to make something.
Wow.
Kindergarten through
All the way
12th grade.
through.
That could be coloring sheets. It could be a small engine. It could be bracelets. It could be hot pads. It could be cutting boards. It could be walking canes. All of them are required to make something and to sell it at our business fair. We have it every fall, and we invite the whole community. And we have
That's awesome.
thousands of people that come.
What's-
They come and they flood in, because what grandma and auntie and neighbor doesn't want to come and support the third grader
Absolutely.
that just made her homemade popsicles
Right.
or homemade lollipops?
What's the most innovative thing you've seen one of the kids do?
I was super impressed with, we had a young man, and I think he was about 12 or 13. The detail that he put into his cutting board was far better than any cutting board I've ever seen.
Wow.
Because he put different strips of wood in it, and he had adhered them so well that it was all beautiful. It was just one board. It was just magnificent, and he was very young to do that.
Yeah.
So we've seen the gamut of all of those things, and then there's food and jewelry and candles and hot pads and,
But what I like
planters.
about that, it gives the community to look within
And help.
and to help and to
Yeah.
also give back. It's awareness
Absolutely.
and growing the strengths within.
Yes, and I think that's one of the reasons that we grew, is because it was
Absolutely.
word of mouth, and then we had some people that when we posted pictures after that, they said, "Oh, I wish I would have known." It's like we had posted it, but not everybody can see it, and we want you to all invite your grandmas and neighbors and friends and grandpas and uncles and aunties and stuff, and so they're becoming so stimulated on being creative that we have more learners than that. We call them learners in our students instead of just students. We have more learners in our school that are really bummed that the school year just ended.
How about when you're learning something you want to know,
Yeah.
it makes all the difference in the world.
So our school administrator, her name is Roxanne, she's so amazing that she's like, well, come hang out with me. We can organize this summer, and because we're going to be moving, But even in the summers that we weren't moving, we can organize and clean the school and hang out and grab some,
Give them something to do.
some lunch and fellowship. And she tries to limit that a little bit, but she has so many people that just want to come and hang out at the school. So it's very, very lovely. It's
Sounds
very
awesome.
beautiful.
So how would you tell somebody to actually go about starting something like this?
Obviously, first pray about it. Make sure that you have the bandwidth or the support around you to do it. We actually have had several people reach out to us, so I've given them some tips on things that we would do. But you want to make sure that you have a community around you and a survey that you have done saying, does the community want it?
Right.
Are there financial supporters? Are there volunteers? If you don't have a big chunk of what you need to have done missing, it's very, very hard to catch
Yeah,
up. So you
right.
want to put out your community surveys, have many meetings, gather information, have some one-on-ones, talk to your local banker, see what it's going to take to create, your corporation and things like that you have to get it legal.
Yeah. Right now,
So-
anyway.
Right now, anyway, yeah. Yep. So, and that's just what I did, and I was grateful for all of those other years that I had of experience since I was 26 in starting businesses and being an entrepreneur.
And you're doing
So-
it all without federal funding.
We do not have any federal funding, no.
Which is amazing.
Yep.
So in regarding the curriculum, because we do know that the county sometimes, kind of puts precedent on what the curriculum is, things that they have to learn. How did you bypass that? Because I know there's a lot of sometimes red tape
Hurdles.
where you have to submit for it to count as a credit towards whatever community or county that you're into.
We do not have that barrier.
Very nice.
We do not have that barrier because it's a private school run under a private entity, and we don't have that. We can partner with them if we want, but we don't on purpose.
Which is amazing.
So we don't ask them questions.
Self-sustained within the community.
Yeah, we don't ask
Yeah,
them questions,
right.
and they don't ask us questions.
So that basically, people who live in that community help support the school, pay for the kids to go to school, their books, whatever they
Yeah,
need.
the parents pay the tuition, and if we're short tuition dollars, then we have donors that step up, and there's some beautiful foundations that want to partner with schools and things like that. So we're working our way towards a lot of that. We're just starting that because the 2 years have been, all the pedaling and the paddling and
Yeah.
getting everything refined, and now we're moving this summer. So we have been super blessed to have that community support, but that's because the community is hungry, right? They're hungry to want to make a difference. They don't want the same as what we were raised in, right?
You don't want to wait on the federal government to come in and save them, because
Right.
we see what the federal government's doing to our schools already.
Right,
Why would you want to wait on them to save you from that?
right. And we don't want to be quiet. We want to be loud and bold for whatever we have for these children that is good and right and holy and amazing for them to become who they were created to be in the first place.
Right.
We don't want to steal that. We don't want to steal that. We want it to be amazing. And the irony to this is that because I am an executive director of a homeless shelter, basically a beautiful faith-based program, wouldn't it be amazing if these students were raised correctly in the first place, with partnerings with the school, the community, the church, the parents, the grandparents, that we went out of business at Hope Gospel Mission? I know my boss won't want to hear that, but he knows my heart. And what I'm saying is, wouldn't it be beautiful if that wasn't the problem?
Right.
Right?
Right.
Because we can make
That would fix all the problems, right?
it would, and we would be able to partner differently with people that have needs. And so you think about that for just a minute and you think, what would homelessness look like?
Right.
What would addiction look like? What would mental health look like? It would be completely different.
Well, the whole key to that is they're learning something they are interested in. They will want to learn, and they'll stick with it, and they'll change everything.
And if they don't, they're going to be grounded enough and rooted enough in
Know how to learn.
They're gonna
understand
be-
the consequences for their
Well,
actions,
they can
which
navigate
is
that, right?
right.
They can navigate
Right.
a shift. Say if they were a welder and they loved it, but hey, I'm 42. You know, this gentleman, I'm 42, and now I really want to go learn about horses because that's been in here for a long time.
Right.
They'll know how to navigate that in such a beautiful fashion that it will be something that will be natural for them.
Yeah.
So
I've always told my kids they can do anything they want. And
Amen.
I've gotten so much pushback on that, because you can't be an NFL player. Well, you could if you wanted to be.
yeah,
I don't care how short you are,
Yeah.
how little you are. If that's what you want to
Yeah,
do,
you
you
just
will
have to
find a way to do it.
persevere.
And it sounds like you're giving people that option to explore it, to figure out how to do that.
it is. And you know, not everybody makes it in our school, because there's some kids who are still going to be kids
Sure.
who came from rough situations or backgrounds that they formed bad habits because of something that happened in their life, and they don't all make it, but most of them do. I mean, 99% of them are still there, and that's a really good record
is
right now.
amazing.
So we've had to ask a couple kids to leave, but we can, because we can't have them expose the littles what they're doing. We're like, sweetie, you knew what you were signing up for, and
Right.
we love you, and we love you so much that we can't have you here.
Well, and once those kids start seeing those kids that they were exposed to for that short period of time being successful,
Yeah.
that will trigger in their mind to look more into it or do something different with their life.
I agree. I think they can kind of see that natural evolving, beautiful success, or a natural evolving consequence depending on what decision that they make.
Right.
So, yeah.
You can't tell them, but you can show them, and that's what those kids going to that
Yeah.
school will do. They'll show them.
At Generations Academy, we try to do that and just show God's love every step of the way, even if they mess up, even if they're irritated with one of the staff members, if they're, if they didn't get their homework in on time, their project, we still offer grace, but we offer grace to a certain point where they still have to make sure that they're, that they're responsible for their work. So, yeah.
That is amazing.
That's awesome. It's community supported. And you don't have the government in there telling you you
Right.
need to teach them that they could be a
Yeah.
boy if they're a girl. Yeah.
And at Hope Gospel Mission too, we don't take federal dollars.
Yeah, that's awesome.
There's a lot of missions that do, but we don't. We just felt we wanted to stay steadfast to that because our donors have always supported us, and our donors love that we don't. So we're super grateful for that too.
Yeah.
So if anyone were to donate or help your cause within Wisconsin
should.
in your communities, and you better, how can they find you? How can they contact you?
They can look up Generations Academy, and there's a spot on there to give if they wanted to support it. My email is sandy.polzin@generationsacademy.net, and so I don't know if you'd post that below the video.
Yeah, we absolutely
But
do.
also at Hope Gospel Mission, if they want to give to those folks who are hurting, it's Sandy with an I at hopegospelmission.org. So if you could post that as well. But you see, what I'm trying to do is what God has for me is trying to make a difference from the time they're little to the time that we have 75-year-olds at the mission because they're lost. And so I just want to be part of the solution, and I believe this beautiful audience wants to be part of the solution, and you can do it. You can do it. You just have to get out of bed and listen to the sweet whisper of the Lord, and you just have to say yes. If He's calling you, say yes. Don't be afraid of the yes.
Right.
He will come alongside of you. You will have people that will journey with you. It's beautiful, it's hard, it's holy, but usually holy is very, very hard.
Nothing good comes free.
That's
or
right.
easy.
A
That's
lot
right.
of hard work, and if you
Yeah.
pray, it always comes in your.
Yeah.
Well, it reminds me of a quote too. I don't remember the quote exactly, but they talked about if you can change the youth, their minds, you can control the world.
Yeah. You can
Because
change
you can
the world.
make them
Yeah.
believe whatever it is you want them to believe to change everything about society, and that's what's happened.
Yeah. All things are possible through Christ, and that's who He made you to be. And so you want to make sure that you just know that I can get through that, even the turmoil. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm down here post surgery, and I'm like, I'm doing it. You know, I can travel, I can handle
You
it.
keep
I can,
trucking.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
and
you
it's-
just have to have that wherewithal inside of you, knowing that you can make a difference every day.
Yeah.
And it's
It sounds
in
like
your
you're
heart,
doing it.
and that's the most important thing. Where I think a lot of people, you know, if you feel it, and you have to be uncomfortable.
Oh, that's
You
good.
have to be so uncomfortable to make a change, and a
Yes.
lot of people now are just so afraid.
Fed up with it.
Well, they're afraid to change because they're afraid to lose things, and sometimes you have to lose some
Yeah,
to gain more.
that is so good.
And
it's so
to
true.
grow within yourself. And I think that's a lot of people are missing that whole boat where
Well,
it is going to be uncomfortable.
It
and,
is.
People
and
aren't
it's a
paying
struggle.
attention. School's just a babysitter to them.
Right.
They don't even know what their kid is doing. I remember my son coming home and showing me his math, and I'm like, you're gonna have to ask your mom about that because I don't know what that
Well, they
means.
purposely word things, even with a mathematical.
Yeah, you got to show
word
your answer.
products,
How did you
right.
get your answer? Well, I got the right answer. Why do I have to show you how I got it? Because I'm not doing it the way you're teaching me to do it, and I could learn it on my own and know it better than that. It's just crazy.
Yeah, and I think we have been, and you guys know this too, and our audience knows this, we've been confused on purpose by them. They've caused confusion in our whole world to try to help us be complicit and not want to make a change and just get up, do your job, eat, watch a little television, go to bed.
Right. Get up and do it again.
And do it again. And I don't want to live my life that way, and I don't want my kids to live their lives that way.
Right.
I want to be intentional for the people that I serve, that I'm next to every day, people that are listening on the airplane. Who can we touch each day just with the word, just with encouragement, just with a life-changing moment, just with a smile.
Yeah.
And then what can we do that's a little bit bigger? It's the things like we're talking about today. And I'm sure a lot of our audience members want to or are doing other things other than the things we talked about today. And so
Right.
that's what's going to change our world. And so we're
Absolutely.
excited about that.
Absolutely. I mean, you see it coming.
Yeah.
You can see it coming.
Yeah.
They just need to know more people like you that are actually doing it.
Yeah.
To give them, I don't know, the motivation to say, well, if she's doing it, I can do it. And everybody gets together and they all do it together.
Well, and I hope anyone in the audience reaches out to me. I know you're going to put the information out there for them, but you don't know until you reach out to people what some of the next steps are. And so I'm available. I'm here for you. I want to be able to make a difference, not just in my local community, but for the world and for the king. That's why we went across the ocean and brought home 4 babies who were most likely going to be dead already. They don't know how big their love story is yet. That's what I keep telling them.
Yeah.
How old
Because
may-
they're just teenagers and they're going through puberty. So you can pray for
I
me
was just
for
going to
that.
ask you how old they were.
No,
So
they're
yeah.
so sweet and so
Yeah.
beautiful and amazing. But they're 16, 15, 13, and 11.
Wow.
And they're all taller than I am now. And so they really don't know how big their love story is, but they will someday.
Sounds like you have some future teachers in your.
I hope so.
Your
Or
family.
world changers of some kind.
Yes.
Yeah.
People who want to make a difference. I think I do.
Well,
They have kind
Sounds
hearts.
like you are.
So
well, thank you, Sandy, for everything. We are honored to have you, and we
Well,
appreciate
thank you.
everything, whatever we can do to help as well.
Absolutely.
thank you so much.
Let us know.
I appreciate you both, and I appreciate you making the effort to come and see me. And I hope it just touches 1 or 1,000 lives.
Yeah.
So,
One more time with the way people can contact you.
okay. If anyone wants to reach out to me at Hope Gospel Mission, it's Sandy with an I at hopegospelmission.org, and at the school Sandi.Polzin, Polzin, at generationsacademy.net. net. So I hope I hear from a lot of you.
Absolutely. Someone you can talk to change all those things you sit on the couch and complain about.
Amen.
Amen.
Complain no more. Let's do it together, team. Let's do it together.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you everyone for attending, or at least viewing this wonderful, wonderful interview. Like I said, God bless you.
Wonderful
Thank
person,
you.
doing great things.
Keep doing what you're doing for, and like I've always said, this has started under God for the children, and we're going to finish it strong. And I believe the children are going to be the ones to rise and teach us adults how to make a change. And I truly believe that. So
thank you for doing your part. You guys are making a big difference.
oh, well, yes, don't forget Truth Tour. Visit truthtour.net. We are going to be Saturday, June 24th in San Diego.
Get involved. Get off the couch.
Free tickets, as well as a premium seating ticket, where you can have an hour and a half in the morning to meet and greet with all the speakers that will be joining us. These are true patriots. These are people that are making a difference, such as Sandi, within the communities. And have a wonderful day. Doug, thank you very much. You can find us on Rumble at Clearview, as well as Telegram under Clearview.
Right on.
Hello, I'm Louis Herms with ScrewBigGov.com, and I'm encouraging you to support this channel. Truthers worldwide do a lot of work, and clearly recognition is really what we're not looking for, but sometimes we need support in the form of just liking, forwarding, subscribing, and if you could support some products that they sell if they have efficacy. So today I'd like to talk about NutraSwish, and this is something that I'm actually traveling with. I'm traveling right now currently. What a most phenomenal product I've ever run into. So I just put it in my mouth, and it's a glutathione base and has nanotechnology, not nanobots. Don't get triggered. So nanotechnology, where it actually just swish it in your mouth and it assimilates at a level that's never been done before. They can't even do this properly, in my opinion, with intravenous glutathione, which costs thousands of dollars a month. So as low as $60 a month, and it's not a monthly subscription unless you want it to be, you can get what I think is one of the most healthy products for us on the planet. For 7 months, I had a serious lung issue when doing the Truth Tours, and I couldn't get over it. I was coughing incessantly all the time. After 2 weeks on NutraSwishes by a company called Numi, the glutathione, just amazingly, the results I got. My hair turned very dark, which is weird because I used to have all silver. So that's cool. That's just a positive side effect. No more acid reflux. Now, these are not an FDA endorsed message, obviously, and these are my personal story. I can tell you I'm hearing hundreds of stories like this of people getting in phenomenal health just by getting this wonderful glutathione into our body. In addition, so you know, I'm actually 172 years old, but because I'm using Numi Skin, now I look 136 years old. So it's really doing wonders for me also. Folks, on the serious side, these are some of the most important and relevant products with efficacy on the planet that I've ever seen. You may or may not know me, but if you know it, I rarely endorse something unless I've really vetted them strongly, and I have. So wonderful, wonderful way to get healthy and support the wonderful truthers that you're watching right now. So just go down below, click the link below, and it'll say numi.com/ and go ahead and enjoy the products, and please continue to support these wonderful truthers because they really are working hard to get the word out. Thank you, and God bless.